Welcome to Kush News, the newscast of the African diaspora. I'm your anchor, Ochanda, daily bringing you the top stories from Africa and the Caribbean. Let's take a look at today's news on Monday, May 8th, 2023. We go to Sudan, where humanitarian relief talks continue, but violence also. Envoys from both Sudan's oppositions are in Saudi Arabia to arrange for humanitarian talks. The parties have insisted that they are only sitting across from each other to bring some relief to the humanitarian situation in Sudan. The pre-negotiation talks began this weekend, where the Saudi kingdom has already pledged that it will provide the country of Sudan with $100 million worth of humanitarian aid. Fighting erupted back in mid-April, just a few weeks of fighting between the country's military and the paramilitary. Hundreds of thousands of Sudanese nationals have been forced to flee their homes, with many the displaced Sudanese looking to seek refuge in bordering countries of Chad and Egypt. The two sides, Sudan's military leader, led by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the paramilitary rapid support forces, led by General Muhammad Hamdan, aka Hameti, have not seen eye to eye since the fighting began on April 15th. Ceasefire agreements have failed, even up until today, to end the conflict or even do much to reduce the violence. International communities have said that at least 300,000 people have been internally displaced by the fighting, in addition to the hundreds of thousands who have fled the country. Most aid operations have been suspended or severely scaled back due to the lack of security. International federations across the globe have said that they've launched emergency appeals to support the Sudanese Red Crescent Society in an effort to deliver food and medical assistance to over 200,000 some people. Those in Sudan, let us know if you feel that a negotiation or a humanitarian truce is likely to happen. Let's go to North Africa, specifically Morocco. Units of the Sharawari People's Liberation Army carried out a few new attacks against the entrenchments of the Moroccan occupation forces in the sector of Smarma, inflicting upon them heavy human and material losses. According to the statement, units of SPLA targeted the entrenchments of soldiers in the occupation army in the Smarma sector. Detachments of the SPLA had bombarded the positions of the Moroccan occupation forces, in the areas of Hausa, Smara, and Malbas, and the targeted areas of Tarkant, Lekrita, Ras Arbib El-Ka, and Rusdirt. The attacks of the SPLA continue against the entrenchments of the occupation forces, which suffer heavy human and material losses, said a spokesperson. Those in Morocco, let us know if you're in the affected areas and what your long-term plan is and how Kush News can get the message out to maybe get you out of there. Let's go back to East Africa and talk about Rwanda. There has been tremendous increase in female ownership of individual enterprises in the past 5 years, showcasing the growth of women entrepreneurship in the country. According to a recent annual report last week, female ownership of businesses increased from 20% to 34% back in 2022, indicating a trend growing of gender balance in the private business sector. Overall, 764,000 businesses were registered in Rwanda back in 2022, comprising of over 18,000 domestic companies and over 73,000 of individual enterprises. Female ownership of individual enterprises has risen significantly from 38% back in 2017 to 50% in 2022. This is underscoring the importance of women's empowerment and gender equality in the business sector, a report stated. Rwanda also says that it successfully expanded markets for the country's exports to several destinations, including the United Arab Emirates, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and India, further enhancing trade relations and boosting the economy. Manufacturing, financial services, and insurance activities accounted for 45.5% of the total registered investments in the country back in 2022. According to that recent report, countries in doing business with Rwanda invested over $300 million, accounting for 44.3% of total foreign investment to Rwanda. Overall, the 5 leading foreign investor countries registered 40.7% of investment volume. Those in Rwanda, let us know on your excitement. Let us know how you feel about more women getting in the private business sector, if it's a good thing or whatever your thoughts are. Let's go to the Caribbean. The Prime Minister for St. Vincent and the Grenadines wants to end British monarchy. Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, is hoping to see his country to transition itself to becoming a full republic. In a recent interview, the Prime Minister stated that having a British monarch as a head of state is quote-unquote an absurdity, and he'd like to see that end in his lifetime. St. Vincent and the Grenadines held a referendum back in 2009 to become a republic, but it failed. The Prime Minister of the Caribbean island stated that he does not know if he's going to lead that particular process or is going to allow the next generation of leaders to do that. Gonsalves further questioned about how the current King of England, King Charles III, reacted when the issue was brought up. The Prime Minister stated that, "I would say that the king is understanding of the impulses of former colonial peoples to cut the links. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is among 8 Caribbean countries still recognizing King Charles III of England as its head of state." Those in St. Vincent and Grenadines, let us know your thoughts and let us know if you are also backing the Prime Minister on cutting colonial ties with England. Let's stay in the Caribbean and end it with St. Kitts and Nevis. Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew of St. Kitts and Nevis also said that he plans to hold public consultation towards dropping the British monarch as its island's head of state. In also a recent interview, Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew did not give an update on when the consultations will begin, but he stated that the discussions will start sometime during his leadership. Drew said that the island of St. Kitts and Nevis will become an independent state, which became an independent state 40 years ago, is not totally free as long as King Charles III of England remains that head of state. St. Kitts and Nevis joined Belize, Jamaica in expressing an intention to drop the British monarch as its head of state. Belize and Jamaica have established commissions to guide the governments towards becoming republics themselves. Barbados became the world's latest republic and the Caribbean's only republic back on November 30th, 2021, when it officially removed Queen Elizabeth II as the head of state. King Charles of England, who was then Prince of Wales, was on hand to witness the historic moment himself. Prime Minister Drew also told recent journalists that apart from becoming a republic, St. Kitts and Nevis would like King Charles of England to apologize for the monarchy's historic role in the transatlantic slave trade. The Prime Minister of the island stated that, quote unquote, "I think that acknowledging that something wrong was done, acknowledging it and apologizing for it, it's a step in the right direction," he stated. For his part, actually, the King of England, King Charles III, acknowledged that appalling the atrocity of slavery in the Caribbean was something that he had to do. Last month, the Buckingham Palace for the King Charles III was cooperating with an independent study to exploring the relationship between the British monarchy and the slave trade itself. Those in St. Kitts and Nevis, let us know your excitement. Let us know if you also agree with Prime Minister Drew on relinquishing colonial hold as England's head of state is your head of state. We end today's newscast with the African proverb of the day. Look at me, huh? Hopefully that only happens twice now. And it reads, from no particular African nation or ethnic group. And it reads, "My body is celestial." Once again, it reads, "My body is celestial." I'm going to be honest. I have no idea on where I can take that interpretation, but maybe you guys can. Drop a comment. Let me know your interpretation of today's African proverb of the day, as well as your thoughts, views, questions, comments, and concerns on the top stories. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for today and any other time that we upload content. Also, feel free to follow us on Twitter. That's at Kush_News1. That's at Kush_News1, where we hold weekly weekend Twitter spaces. For Kush News on Kush Convos TV, I'm Ochanda. We'll see you soon.